of you are coping well with the unprecedented situation that has been thrown at us at the least expected time and way. So let me try to engage you in the conversational chronicles of a novice called Vishnu Priya VR. Yeah, that's me. I'm an NLP enthusiast, especially conversational AI, and I'm trying my best to explore the world of conversational AI and learn whatever I can. Without much ado, let's start. Before starting, I would request you humbly that in case of any questions or queries that you might have, let's have it at the end of the talk so that we need not worry about the flow of the talk and also the time of the talk as well. Having said that, I'm sure most of you would have faced this situation many times in your life, which I would like to call as inertia or freeze, where we find it difficult to start anything that is new, especially if it is out of our comfort zone. Believe me when I say this, even I faced it, and I'm very sure that you guys would have faced the same thing before this talk as well, where you would have been thinking, should I really attend this talk, or can I binge watch a Netflix series instead? House of Cards maybe. When I started my career in AI, in conversational AI specifically, this is what even I faced because human brains work that way. And because it was new and out of comfort zone for me, this inertia or freeze was not letting me to enter into the world of AI. And I figured out that a first major push is necessary for me to get out of this phase of inertia. This first push came to me in the form of my first issue at work, where I had to push lot of things like inertia, the mechanical engineering concepts that were clogging my mind, and also a completely new technology which I knew nothing about. It was extremely satisfying in the sense that it gave me a first-hand experience of how to deal with the customer. And I also found out that just by taking mini steps in AI, I was able to solve the customer's issue and I was able to venture into the world of conversational AI finally. So the key takeaway for me from this stage of my career is that I didn't let my unsure mind or my fear stop me from exploring the world. For somebody in the same situation like me in this phase of their life, I would also advise them to do the same. Also, one more thing is that this first push came to me as a do or die situation where I was pushed into it and I had to come out of it to prove my credibility. What I would advise to someone in the same situation would be to not wait for that do and die situation and instead try taking small baby steps and go forward without wasting much of the time so that when you face a similar situation in your face, you'll be better prepared and it will be much easier for you to come out of it. And one more important thing that I took as a key takeaway from this phase of my life is that there is always a beginning to a journey. And if I don't start, then I'm not going to complete my journey or even get to see the memorable part of it. So I should always be ready to start no matter what the consequences are. And I would also advise the same to somebody in a similar situation. Now that this prelude of my journey or has started, that I stepped into the path which I was about to travel. But this is where I found out the hard way that this is another challenge for me. Now, what all of you would have been thinking is that what is so tough in traveling the path which you have already chosen, which you already know where you're going to go? It's just to travel the path, right? So what's the big deal in that? But it's in a very hard way, I found out that there have to be a lot of milestones that needs to be crossed to complete the journey and also to make it a memorable one. And the first milestone in this journey of mine would be to deep dive into the conversational AI concepts right away. And it took a lot of time and patience on my part, mainly because that I didn't have the luxury, not the time, to learn completely and then apply the concept. Turns out that I had already put my leg into the lion's den, and I had to learn and work on it at the same time. So this happened where I had to learn the basics of what NLP and NLU had to offer. And I had to also learn about a product that would offer me all these experiences where I had to use that in my work. Now, this product came to me in the form of Rasa NLU, where I learned about the conversational AI and the NLU concepts, where a huge part of it had been conceptualized and compartmentalized into very simple concepts. Now, because I had a product in my hand called Rasa NLU, it helped me to overcome this challenge and achieve my first milestone of learning the concepts of conversational AI. Now, how to find a product that helps you overcome your technological problem? I chose an open source project and I would advise you to do the same. Now, why I'm stressing so much about open source projects is that there is an advantage to it where you can get to know what is happening underneath and you can completely understand your concepts where you had learned, and it will also be very easy for you to apply it. This had been done by me getting familiar with Rasa NLU, with the blogs that I read and the various YouTube videos that I had. And since open source project is built by a beautiful community who's always waiting to help you, I took the help of Rasa NLU community and the peers from my Rasa NLU community to get familiar with the project and learn the gist of it. Once I got to learn the gist of what Rasa NLU was, I went to the GitHub page of the project and checked for its stars and forks. While personally I don't believe that stars and forks will validate the authenticity of the project, what I got to know by checking the stars and forks is that how many people are preferring it and how many people are liking it, which gave me a fair idea of how easy the project was. And once I got familiar with the stars and forks, I checked the issues, and by checking the issues, I got to know the various gaps the project had and how these issues have been solved. And I also tried to learn from the PRs and the changes done to fix these issues so that I was able to apply them in my work as well. And I was also able to understand what was happening under the hood simultaneously. Now, two stages of my life had crossed, where I had crossed the inertia phase and I had also crossed crossed the learning phase of the project. Now comes the transition phase where I had to smoothly transition from a mechanical engineering background to an AI background, with having the help of all the concepts that I learned and the product that I had in my hand. Nevertheless, to say, the career transition also was possible because of the help from Rasa NLU that I got, where a smooth transition happened through focus on simple concepts like intents, entities, and stories, which I would call the magic of splits, by the way, because it helped me to grasp the huge concept of NLU by splitting it into compartments like intents, entities, and stories. And once I got to concentrate on each compartment or component that I would call, and once I had fixed my aim on understanding each component and applying them, I was able to solve the issue overall. So this helped me in a technological way. You will be surprised to know that one more bizarre thing happened where Rasa NLU helped me conceptually as well. When I applied this magic of split concept, where I splitted the issues that came to me into smaller chunks and concentrated on the smaller chunks to resolve the complete issue. In the way I work and in the way I solve my issue, I found out that the transition happened in a much faster way than expected, and also it was helping me in a smooth resolution of the issues that came my way. Thanks, Rasa, for that, because I didn't expect that it would help me conceptually as well. Now, the key takeaway from the transition phase of my career would be, since I was updated with the latest innovation in my domain, conversational AI, the one being Rasa NLU, and it helped me both technologically and conceptually as well. So I would advise somebody in the same phase of their life to be updated with the latest innovations that their field has to offer, and also figure out how creatively issues can be solved using either technologically or conceptually the way I had done. Also, since I found the open source project that supported my ideas, and since this helped me to cross major hurdles in this phase of my career, I would also advise you to find out an open source project and start contributing, because once you contribute, it can also help somebody else in the similar phase of life to gain from it, and it would also help them to come out of these problems that they face, like me. So these were the forces that were affecting my journey, but there were also certain forces beyond my jurisdiction which caused me a lot of problems, or which I should say in a better way, which was creating difficulties for me to cope up with the journey. One of them being the culture related shock, where I faced from being a college background and getting into an office culture where everything was different. There was target set, everything was different, the expectations from you was different, the way of interaction was different. Literally everything was different from what was happening in college. So it gave me a literal shock when I entered the office background for the first time. Also in the office, everything happened really fast, faster than the speed of light is what I felt at least. Because once I started to work there, I had to cope up with not only the challenges that I faced work-wise, also I had to cope up with the speed. Because once I let go of my speed, then whatever the efforts I had put would go waste. And the another challenge that I'm facing now is what next? What next should I do to make this journey much more memorable for me? Is I'm facing on a daily basis right now, and I hope to find a solution for it as soon as possible. Key takeaways from these challenges that have been faced by me would be to help fellow technologies and give back to the community, like how Rasa helped me and peers at Rasa community helped me to overcome. And also try to inspire folks in being an active part of the community and help in its growth. Or one thing I would suggest even better for somebody in this phase of life would be to build an open source project yourself so that it would align to your ideas and would also help many people to contribute to your idea and give rise to another beautiful project. The lessons that I learned from all these challenges that I faced, that the most important one being the only barrier between my journey and me was me, because I was the one who was not finding it easy to explore. I was the one who was stopping me from entering the field itself, and I was the one who was finding it difficult to cope up with office culture and a lot of other things. And once I made up my mind to cope up with these and try to come out of this, all the other things fell into place by itself. Baptism by fire. Whatever the journey that I had faced till now was it always being thrown into do or die situation and coming out of it. So it was like a baptism by fire by me, for me literally, where I had to learn in toughest of situations that I was put in. And one more thing I learned is that it's not wrong to fail, and failure is not falling down, but staying down and giving up and not trying to come out of it. Even however small the steps may be, if once I started trying and once I started not giving up, then I found out that I was able to solve the issues one by one, gradually and steadily. Any job that looks like an unbeatable beast, I split it into smaller chunks of variable units, courtesy Rasa NLU, and I was able to break the chain and I was able to solve the issues in a much faster way. So whenever I face a similar issue in my life, I keep the concepts of Rasa NLU in mind and apply it to whatever things I deem possible. So after all such lecture, all of you would have been thinking, is she even for real? Is she speaking what she actually faced, or is she just making up for this talk? But believe me when I say this, the very fact that I'm presenting this presentation in front of you, and the very fact that I've been shortlisted from a list of eminent personalities to showcase my journey with you is a proof in itself that probably this works, and it may work even for you. I'm hoping that it works for you as well. And also that this talk, I expect this talk to be my second milestone where it will help me in a more to bring more clarity to my journey forward and help me in making this journey a much memorable one. Thank you once again for giving me this opportunity, and I would especially like to thank Rasa and you at this occasion, because without the support of them, without the community support, and without them giving me an opportunity to showcase this to you, I would not have been able to share my experiences with you. And I can always be reached at my LinkedIn profile, where you can scan this QR code and it will take directly to my LinkedIn profile. Thanks once again. I hope this talk would help you in facing all your barriers and coming out of it.